what's up there, YouTubes? Toward the Max Extreme here.
Ghost Hunter Dave.
Dinosaur Neil.
And together, we all get old and wear fake beards as Imperius Rex.
Here, here.
Hey!
There's only one thing we can be talking about, and that would be the new seminal Netflix hit.
That's right.
Jupiter's Legacy. And by hit, I mean not really much of a blip on anyone's radar.
It hit a target date in which to release.
It sure did. Boy, did it.
Yep.
I remember years back for the show, we were talking about, like, what should we do an episode on? Should we do a Mark Millar thing?
Yeah.
And he had a slew of stuff, and you were like, how about Jupiter's Legacy?
Yeah.
I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
No. But here we are.
Finally
decided. I'm like, it's all right. Perfect timing. We'll tie it in with this new up-and-coming hit show. Well, jury's still out. We'll have to see what happens. But
yeah.
my hopes are about as low as the viewer retention rates on such show. Elephant in the Room wasn't very good.
Did you finish it?
No.
Neil? Nope. Neither did
Sure.
I. But I believe I made it the farthest.
You sure
so
did.
I guess if we're counting, I watched more.
Nice work. Did you read all the reading?
No.
All right. Stay tuned, viewers, because we've got a banger of an episode. So between this and Invincible, it seems like we're kind of getting into a new age of superhero cinematic and TV media, where you can get a bit more, like, not so much meta, but explore, like, the relationships of characters.
Yeah.
And also kind of take these tropes that have been going on forever in comics.
Yeah.
But we finally have enough, like, superhero stuff in pop culture that the average viewer...
The groundwork has been laid at this point.
Now the shows can get into that a bit more.
Yeah.
And that is how this book and the show inevitably is. It's kind of a spin on the classic Superman theme.
Right. Yeah. I do like that in this moment in time we're getting things like this, Invincible, The Boys, stuff around that nature. So it's not just like we've done all the Marvel movies. They're great. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad we're getting into a different avenue where it can be more niche. We're going to look down this avenue. We already know the tropes. We're going to play on them. We're going to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here we go. We're going to do Mark Millar's Jupiter's Legacy.
Yes! Finally!
Yeah. Which I was excited when this was initially launched because I did like the book on its initial release. Granted, I haven't finished Jupiter's Circle, which I've wanted to, like, maybe fulfill that story out a little bit more.
Close the circle.
Yes, that's well put. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And so I was wondering if the show would be like a distillation between both of those. Yeah, like kind of mesh it all and streamline it a bit. And if we're going to stay on the show...
I couldn't tell you.
I could tell you that I think it's just extrapolating more than just streamlining.
Oh, yeah.
The show is where I'm at now. I only have 3 episodes left. It's taken its time.
Mm-hmm.
By the second page of the first volume of Jupiter's Legacy, they got their powers. They went on an expedition. They're done.
Yep.
And then it jumps into now, and then you're like, okay, let's see the ramifications of all this past history of these bygone heroes, and now their legacy is continuing on and how they're approaching their superpowers and the media that comes with it. Because now they're more socialites rather than heroes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the next generation is.
Yes.
Like the Golden Age heroes are still, keeping up at the farm and upholding truth, justice, and the American way.
Right.
It's their kids that the mantle has been passed on to, or should be passed on to, but they're not quite there to fulfill that legacy.
Right.
Jupiter's legacy, actually.
Wow. You've done it again.
Oh my God.
I don't think I have, because I have no idea what the title reference is.
Maybe they'll get to it someday. But I find funny, I mean, I'm not too far into the series or whatever, but it's focusing a lot on the Golden Age heroes of what I have watched.
Yeah.
And in the book, they are a blip. they are not really prevalent in all of this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right. Well, in Jupiter's Circle, which is the prequel,
yeah,
that's all
on them.
But that doesn't really further the main storyline.
Right.
No.
It's purely like, here's some more on these characters that we briefly mentioned
Yes.
in the main story. But if I can say spoilers right off the bat, spoilers for my own opinion, nothing important.
Opinion spoilers. Here we go.
Opinion spoilers. I actually liked Jupiter's Circle quite a bit more than I liked Jupiter's Legacy in the comic medium.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the opposite for me. I liked him. I want the show. No,
Well, at least he said bye.
I like Jupiter's Legacy more. Okay, I'm done.
What draws you towards Legacy more than Circle?
I think it's personally just more interesting. A lot, and some of it is also by the art duties.
Oh yeah, sure.
Now, Quietly is amazing in Legacy, so like, there's really nothing to complain about. But the thing is, I love the artwork in Circle too, because it fit that aesthetic that it was going for.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had that golden age look.
Yeah.
Wilfredo Torres, I believe,
very
who's
good.
going to be doing the Superman 78.
Oh, is
Oh,
he?
wow.
Yes.
All right.
Perfect fit.
See
Okay.
and that's a good fit. I liked
Yep.
it. I just think that Circle jumped around a lot and really didn't accomplish much for me. It did flesh out some of the backstories into Legacy on why certain characters didn't like each other and how this is going about, but there are kind of a lot of like relations and people to keep track of on whose lineage, and some of it is actually kind of confusing too. Revolving around like the Blue Bolt character and Hutch or whatever.
Yeah.
So is this guy's son? No. He just said that's his favorite superhero, so he gave him that guy's powers kind of thing. So you're just,
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, okay. Interesting.
Need a
Fine.
chart. Why didn't Hickman write this? Could really use a graph.
Right.
We should give like a quick synopsis of what this is.
Sure.
So it's basically this group of adventurers led by Sheldon Sampson, who receives a vision to go to an island, a mysterious island. He gathers his friends and family, a small group, and they go off, and in like 2 pages, they get powers, and it's never explained or touched on again, which I'm assuming is on purpose. And I kind of like that, where it's like, it isn't about how they got their powers.
Right.
It's about how they deal with it going forward. But I feel like eventually you're going to have to touch on these powers, right?
I don't know, because I would say in Legacy, Jupiter's Legacy, there's a bunch of people with powers, and I couldn't explain to you who has what powers. They all have like these arbitrary powers.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
think Millar cares. I think it's on purpose.
I had the exact same thoughts.
Okay.
Where I was like, it has to be on purpose, the fact that he's not clearly defining what powers these people have.
Right.
Because they just have whatever they need at the time.
Yes.
And it's always like a force push of telekinesis or something.
Yeah.
Or they can like throw down lightning.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on here?
So in the Discord yesterday, while I was watching the show, I'm like, okay, these 6 adventurers and go and get powers. And this next generation, because there's seemingly only one generation after those initial 6.
It wasn't like they squeezed in like 5 or 6. It was in the 30s.
Where, at most, there'd be maybe 4 generations. And that's if they got busy real quick. They got super horny because of their superpowers.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And super babies. And then they spread the family tree really thin. But I'm like, is everyone in the show have superpowers if this is one generation off the original 6, which I think there's only one woman? Not that it matters. I mean, maybe the superpowers spread to whoever, like...
Yeah.
But it just seems like everybody on the show, I'm like, so that's never really explained, which is fine. But like, in the 20s, when there's no superheroes at all, and then it comes to fruition where there's these 6, now in the current time, they're talking about extra-dimensional beings, aliens, other people with super... I'm like, there's a lot that happens in this.
Yeah. There's hundreds of us. And it's like, what? And in Jupiter's Circle, they had like this team that all had powers that worked with or alongside the actual main group too. And you're like, well, some of them might be kids, but I don't know if they're from these people. I don't know.
Hey, don't worry about it. Isn't this art nice?
Yeah.
And it was.
It was.
Oh, it very much was.
Miller, he's onto something.
Right.
Brilliant madman.
Now, because Miller, he is a brilliant madman, right? He's got a lot of books kind of like... I think
He's a brilliant marketer.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
And what I'm trying to get at is, like, he's had a lot of different works come out in the last few years, even before he got, like, a television or movie deal.
Netflix deal.
Yeah.
Which we should mention, this is the first of several projects. And by
Yeah.
several, I mean a lot of
Yes.
anticipated Miller World properties going to Netflix. Each one is wilder than the last, where
Yeah.
I'm like, if they couldn't even fucking get this right, how on earth are they going to do, like, Empress, when the entire thing is, like, a space opera?
I don't know. But, like, so he's had Wanted come out. He's had
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass, Kingsman.
Yeah.
There's been other things that
The Marvel Universe is heavily shaped by his Ultimates.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I think a few of his works have been picked up by other studios. Like, I think Nemesis has. Maybe something else. But then, like, there's a huge slew of stuff that he's done recently that's a Netflix exclusive push. Yeah. So he's got a lot of stuff out there. But that's... And I'm not the first person to say it either. Like, a lot of his stuff is kind of bare bones that you can do whatever with because it's a pitch. He doesn't seem very precious to it. But they're like, yeah, just do whatever you want. Look at Wanted. It's nothing like the book. And, like, I don't know if, because I haven't read all of Circle, if everything that they're putting in the show is from that, or they're extrapolating a lot. Because there's a lot of stuff that's going on where I'm at in the past, which I think is the most interesting part for me, because they're not touching a whole lot on the present time.
Mm-hmm.
And what they are, I'm not really that into.
I'm the same way. Like, it's going very, very slow. Whereas in the comic Jupiter's Legacy, it moves at, like, a breakneck pace.
Yes.
Which is something I will give Miller credit for. Because even though most of his ideas, they're, like, really big scope, huge picture ideas, they're extremely surface level.
Yeah.
And even though he talks about, like, concepts like political things and social things, like, they're still very much, like, kind of a dumb person is trying to talk big. And I'm not saying this because I think I can write better. I've just realized that there's better writers that I've read since I was initially enamored with his writing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, he's just kind of doing, like, the Warren Ellis thing, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, more surface level.
But that may... And I'm not saying, like, his stuff is bad, because I like his stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting to in my very long-winded way of getting to it, is even though, despite all of that, they're quick, polished reads.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm reading, I'm like, this is stupid.
But I like it.
And I know it's going to be done in, like, 6 issues, so it's like, but it'll be over, and, like, it's just, like, a little movie, so it's going to have an ending.
Yeah.
And, like, it's, like, purely junk food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-crafted junk food.
That is
because he
very good.
nails these, he locks down these artists.
Yeah.
Probably because he's got these big movie deals all the time where it's like, hey, do you want to jump on my next original property? You'll get an executive producer title out of it.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish the show was as quick as the book. I would have loved that. Like,
We would have been done with it by
Exactly.
issue 2 or by episode 2.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you could flesh out the information a little bit more from, like, the book, because it's obvious. It's very short. It's like just those 2 trades.
Right.
Legacy is.
Yeah.
If you're not going to include the Circle stuff,
Which you don't need for
yeah,
this story
which you don't
they're telling.
necessarily need for the story, but I just think how much more exciting that would be if he's got all of these properties lined up for Netflix or whatever, just to be like, let's do these all awesome short little, like, keep it 8 episodes or whatever you want, but, like, do them at, like,
tight.
do them at the pace that you're doing them in the comic book.
So if we're getting into, like, full spoilers, as the comic progresses, the heroes, the initial heroes, have all aged out now, and their children are going to pick up the mantle.
Yeah.
And the way the world works now is very different than it was in the Golden Age. So most of the kids feel like their parents' methods of law enforcement are outdated.
Yeah.
And Sheldon, his brother Walter, is, like, the only member of that original team that thinks, like, yeah, we need to change with the times.
Yeah.
We can intervene and make the world better.
Mm-hmm.
And Sheldon Sampson is like, no. The Superman guy's like, no, we don't do that.
Utopian.
Yes, the utopian. To the point where, like, I got so irritated at the Utopian. Like, it's that Superman idealism to a fault, which I think is the point. Like, he's supposed to seem like, come on, man. Yeah. But he is essentially the good guy, and he's killed very quickly in the comic. Uncle Walt convinces Sheldon's son, Brandon, to kill him and take over and have Walter there, like, whispering in his ear to, like, lead the world into the new age. And their sister, Chloe, who's been kind of a family disappointment, like the Margot Tenenbaum of the group, she finally has to, like, step up and eventually stop her brother. With various hurdles along the way, she has a boyfriend, Hutch, who is another superhero lineage, and they have a son together who is, like, the most powerful of all of them.
Right.
But that is the overall setup of, like, the entire story.
Right.
And they kill the Utopian in, like, issue 3. And the way this show was going, I was like, oh man, we're gonna have to wait till, like, the end of the season for that. But as long as we get to it, then I know we're on track, and I'll keep watching it. And then I heard, like, no, they don't even get close to it. I was like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna be disappointed by the end of this regardless. I'm not gonna put 8 more hours into it or whatever.
I'm gonna finish it out. I only got 3 more episodes to go. But I feel by the time I get to the end, they're gonna be like, all right, time to step on that boat. Credits. It's like, all right, whatever.
Smell a boat.
I didn't figure such a boat smell. I don't want to, like, keep doing the differences between the show and the comic, but, like, they're making, like, a big deal. To me, I think this is funny. They're making a big deal on what's his name? The Utopian before he's the Utopian, his real name. Sheldon, thank you. They're making a big deal about his visions in the show. But in the show, like, he looks like a crazy person. Like, he's got, like, scribbles on the walls. He looks over, it'll probably be drooling or some shit.
Charlie Day from Sunny.
He's got a Pepe Sylvia board all over the place. But in the book, like, they make it seem like
he's so put together.
He's put together. He's never usually wrong about stuff, and he has a good hunch about something being there, and we're going to explore it. And that I can see, like, yeah, let's go! And let's get our old jodhpurs on and freaking Piff helmet, and let's go watch it, or go see what we can find out in the ocean. This is ramblings of a crazy person. Granted, I guess they pay off, but, like, there's no way in hell any of his friends would be like, you seem like a logical person to hang out with, let alone be trapped on a ship with.
Where's that boat?
I think what was very charming about the beginning of the comic book is that it was so golden age. Like, it was just like, you know it, we're going, we're right behind you, Samson. Gosh heck.
We're right behind you 100%.
And then they all just march out in costume, all powered up. Let's save America! Like, shit like that. So
smash cut to young Brandon doing blow off like a hooker's tits or something. So it, like, this, I feel like, combines the best and worst qualities of Mark Millar, where he's his usual Mark Millar cynical version of, like, oh, let's piss all over society and deconstruct everything. And also, like, him exploring, like, these golden age ideals. But both of them still feel very, like, surface level to me. I just feel like he's... I mean, he's always been. I guess I've just finally read enough other things to really pinpoint it. Where it's like, he's just, like, all gloss. Like, it just seems like he's summarizing something someone else wrote. That wrote it better to me.
You are burying him.
I've always liked it, and I enjoyed reading it, but then when I was, like, thinking about it, I'm just like, none of it, like, strikes true to me. It just sounds like someone trying to be, like, come off as a hopeful, optimistic writer.
yeah,
Like, I don't buy that you are, Mark. I've seen the shit you write. I read the last page of Wanted, and I was insulted. Never in my life would I imagine Eminem saying that to me.
And what in the book too, he definitely puts, like, his Millar touch on some of the end, like, on in the second trade. Like, there's big come ups that you think are gonna pay off, but no, they sure as hell don't. Like,
I know what you're talking about, and I really want to touch on that.
okay, good.
But I feel like we need to introduce Sky Fox before we do that.
Let's do this, please.
So, in Jupiter's Circle, they flesh out all the original team. The entire thing takes place like in the 30s and 40s, and it shows that all these like golden age idealistic heroes also had their share of like personal problems. In the first volume of that, they spend 2 issues on 3 characters, and they give the backstory on the Blue Bolt, who is a closeted gay superhero who is also a successful surgeon. And J. Edgar Hoover realizes that and tries
and he was J. Edgar Hoover.
He was J. Edgar Hoover.
Okay.
And Hoover tries to exploit him to get the identities of the rest of the Union there. And I thought that was like a really great issue, or 2 issues, where I'm like, that poor dude. Like, the worst thing he's involved in is being in love with men. And they're just ready to like burn his life down.
Oh, man.
To the point where he tries to kill himself. And then eventually, like, his teammates are like, it's fine. Like, we don't care. Like, be gay. We don't care.
Exactly.
And then he finally stands up to Hoover. He's like, go fuck yourself. And then Hoover caves. I was like, that was good. That was a good little 2-issue window into these heroes' lives, and they do the same thing with like this Flash character who like shacks up with this
like
young
an affair.
this young like wannabe superheroine and leaves his like wife and kids, and then just gets what happens? He gets rolled.
Wrecked. He like breaks every bone from here down and just gets destroyed, and he's like in rehab for like 5 years.
And the young Philly's like, I can't take care of you. I'm just a kid. And then his wife comes back to him, and he's like, oh my god, I really love you. Like, heartwarming.
Heartfelt.
Yep. So those I felt were like this. They didn't even feel like they were written by Millar. I was like, these are like way more sentimental and like not realistic, but it seems like he's in touch with something more than his usual fare. But then we're also introduced to the character of Sky Fox, who's like the Batman character. Who I guess his ability is he can like build anything. Along with every other superpower that everyone else has.
Technical genius plus everything else on the list.
Yes. And he falls in love with this girl named Sunny, I think. They love each other. And Walter, Sheldon's brother, bit of a prick, always picked on by Sky Fox.
It's that mustache.
Yeah, the tweedly little mustache, not a thick Viltrumite mustache. Eventually, Sky Fox's girlfriend leaves him and shacks up with Walter. And he's always like, well, he has telepathic abilities. He probably controlled her and made her do that. And they're like, you're crazy. He leaves the team. He ends up like going through a bad patch where he becomes almost like a hippie. He starts getting involved in like the LA race riots and attacks police officers. Then he kidnaps the vice president to like try to end Vietnam. So he's like this freedom fighter that they're not associating themselves with anymore. Finally, they like welcome him back on the team. Everything's cool. He's talking to Walter and he's like, man, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I thought you brainwashed that girl to leave me and be in love with you. And Walter's like,
hey, guess what? I was.
And he flips out on him, and then they beat him into submission and lock him away before he can reveal what Walt said to him. So Sky Fox, long story of saying, Sky Fox has been itching to pay back Walt for quite some time. Like years he's been in retirement. Finally, like the new legacy of heroes comes to his door, convince him to help. They gather up all the super villains to go and attack Brandon and Walter and all these guys ruling the country. This big drawn out fight. And then finally Sky Fox and Walt like come face to face.
So I've been waiting so long for this, and Walter's like, me too, and incinerates him. Just kills him right out front, and you're just like, oh.
What?
Stupid.
I was like, is that supposed to be so hilarious?
What's funny is it's like 3 panels too. You're burned, you're falling, you're a skeleton. It's like, Jesus Christ.
He got skeleton. He got boned. Boner's back.
Boner's back, baby.
And I was thinking, like, I read it and I was like, huh. I was like, is this, like, is it a joke? Is it a clone?
That's what I thought, too.
Yeah. That's it, really? That's the end of him? And Walter doesn't have those abilities. Like, why can he suddenly turn someone into a skeleton? This doesn't make any sense. But I love it, and it was my favorite part of the book.
But that was one of those Millar things where you're just like, of course he'd be the one to do that. Like, he loves killing these triumphant returns.
Oh my god, it was so great. Like, you built up. It had its own prequel series building up this guy, only to just, like, kill him in 3 panels. It wasn't even a splash page.
Nope.
Oh, not like Sheldon's wife got when she got butchered.
Oh, just like skewered.
Yeah. So Walter killed her too, essentially. Like, he was able to go into her mind and put her at ease and, like, distract her while the heroes are just piss-pounding her. And then he's like, would you like to see your body? And they snap out of it, and she's just, like, impaled from, like, 8 different angles.
Oh, yeah.
It's rough.
Joe, well, even Utopian's demise. Holy cow.
Heat vision to death.
Yeah, just blast in the face. He got skeleton too, for God's sakes. His whole face is a skeleton now.
At first, I thought the show, because I don't know why I keep going back to the show.
I couldn't get over, like, how damn cheesy the superhero fight came off.
It reminded me of, like, a CW show.
Yeah, and I haven't watched any of those, so I was like, is this what those are? And people like these?
So there's a different... You're going into watching a CW show, you kind of know what to expect, right? It's for television, network TV. They're making however many episodes on this kind of budget. That would be acceptable, I guess, to me, watching that.
Yeah.
But you have Netflix's budget, you're only making 8 episodes.
Right.
You're trying to make this prestige show.
The CW shows have been around long enough to know their limits. Whereas this was like, we're going all for it, we're doing it in broad daylight, we're going to show all of it. And I was just like, this is like cheesy as shit, man. Whereas like King Shark and the Flash looked fucking awesome. And it's just like, how can we get that on a CW show? It's because they know their limits.
We were saying after we finished those first 2 episodes, you're like, man, I bet those Invincible guys are glad they went animated. This is what we could have got.
Yeah.
So, like, in the show, the one thing that worried me is they did get these big actors to play Sheldon and Lady Liberty, I think her name is. Where I'm like, oh shit, they're probably not going to kill him for a long time if they got these big names.
Yeah.
Because they're the only, like, leading actors in it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh yeah, they're going to stretch this shit out.
Yeah. They're not going to die first season.
So is the show wrapped to, I would say, mostly negative response?
Definitely mixed.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get a second season?
I think so. I think Netflix knows what they're doing in terms of, like, viewership and stuff, and I think this will get enough eyes on it that they're like, they've probably already greenlit a season 2. They probably just signed up, hey, you're going to do 2 seasons of this. Like, just be ready for it. And then they'll surprise us like, oh, it got renewed for a season 2.
Very true. I would be more open to going back and watching the rest of this if I knew the season 2 was, like, set in stone.
Yeah.
Because if it's just going to end abruptly and not even deliver on half of the stuff that the comic promised, then, like, I've got other things to watch.
Yeah.
But speaking of the comic, there is a third part of this coming. So we've got Circle, we've got Legacy, and according to the last page of Jupiter's Legacy, in 2019, we're getting Jupiter's Requiem.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming it's still coming here in 2021.
Where you at on them pages, Frank?
Yeah. But apparently that is going to wrap up the whole trilogy. But I'm looking forward to it. You know, we ragged on it, but, like, I still had a good time reading it.
Yeah.
So I'll see it through to the end.
Yeah.
Would you recommend it to anybody?
I would recommend the book to people. I think it's fun. Like, it's a nice play on the tropes. Like, it's something a little different. The most interesting part to me is the actual legacy factor, like where it started to where it's at, and like you can fill in the details, I guess, to yourself what happens in the middle, because it's really there and there, unless you want to dive into Circle, but even that's still in the past.
Yeah. I would read the first volume of Jupiter's Legacy, and then read all of Jupiter's Circle, and then finish Jupiter's Legacy.
Don't touch my knee.
Sorry.
So,
yeah, I thought that was a good way because you're introduced to these characters from the Union. I want to keep wanting to call it the Unity. I'm sure that's some other Justice League pastiche out there. But you don't know anything about them. You just know there's like falling outs and stuff. And then when you get that whole backstory, you're like, oh, okay. And it paints a much clearer picture.
Yeah, makes it more that second trade more impactful of Legacy, because then you've really got the backstory and why the two people want to kill each other.
Then that long build up to him just getting roasted is even more of a payoff.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yes, that joke really hits home. So the way Jupiter's Legacy 2 ends is Hutch, Chloe, and their young son are now fully embracing the superhero mantle and going forth to make the world a better place. Brandon has been imprisoned, and Walt has been killed via teleportation flashlight.
Got a flashlight in his dome.
Which I thought was great.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. I'm surprised nobody did it earlier. Because it seemed really easy to do.
Just clicked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested in where it's going to go because there wasn't like any cliffhanger. We're just like, okay, let's wrap it up then.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to expect.
Show us some weird aliens and why.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's the catchphrase.
Is it who knows or why?
Show us some weird aliens and why.
Oh, okay.
All one thought. So what do you prefer, the comic or the show?
I think right now I prefer the comic.
Okay.
Same, comic book.
Me too. And you told me you didn't even like the comic that much,
Yeah,
right?
Not really.
All right, fair enough. I've gotten to the point where, like, I tend to really prefer something that I can sit down and read at my pace.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting through something that people are just dragging out. Where it's like, I love seeing it on screen, but if I can't feel like their heart is in it, and I'm not on board, then I'm like, I don't have time for this.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd much rather just flip through a comic.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the Walking Dead syndrome. It's like the comic was breakneck pace, had a little bit of lulls, breakneck pace, but you can like stretch that out to your own pace.
Yes.
Whereas the show made you watch it at that pace, which was fucking excruciating.
It would be like Frank quietly reading over your shoulder and being like, hey, don't turn that page yet.
Spent a lot of time on that quilty looking blouse.
Yeah. Soak in the textures.
Look at those floppy boots that I drew. I had to erase those like 9 times.
It's pretty good, Frank.
I'd still rather have that than watch the show. So does that about do it?
I think that about does it.
All right, that's probably way more time than is needed to talk about Jupiter's Legacy.
You talked longer than we watched the show, I
We
think.
sure did. So what did you think of the comic, the show, the spin-offs, or any other Millar World properties? What else should we read? We've read a handful of them, but I mean, he has a ton.
Yeah.
And they're all just little pitches, so they wouldn't be hard to knock out.
Right.
I still need to read Huck. I've heard that's a good one.
Huck is good. I read that. I think it's nice and light and wholeheartedly a good time. Yeah.
I'll see. I'll be the judge of that.
All right.
Does somebody get incinerated instantly at the end?
No, I might be disappointed in that.
Okay.
But
I'm going to judge it on its level of earnestness, and I'll get back to you.
all right.
All right. So I think that'll do it for the show. If you like what you see here today and other days, feel free to support us through our Patreon. And you get a variety of different perks of being a supporter. You get access to our Discord where we just BS about stuff like this.
Yeah, you could have talked to us about all those fake beards.
Yeah, that's right. You might have one of us ask you, did you watch the whole thing? And can you tell me how it ends? We've got to record it in like 10 minutes. Give me a summary.
Yeah.
But we appreciate all our supporters.
Yeah.
They help keep the show running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And until next time,
I've been Short of the Max Extreme.
I've been Dinosaur Neil.
and I've always been and will be far into the future, Ghost Hunter Dave.
Jeez, you went last, now did us all.
Yeah, well,
But,
I thought I'd stretch it out for the TV crowd.
But we've all been Imperius Rex. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Fake beards.